statement for you all. You know, after all, I know a little bit about the library and I like to talk. It should be pretty easy. But one thing that the Historical Society points out to us all is the need to be able to look more closely and thoroughly at the things that we're doing rather than just the superficial look. The important work that groups like this foster can't be exaggerated. Formal and decisive actions, often taken, are kind of lost in institutional memory. Institutional memory has gone the way of communities staying together. It's wonderful that this community has stayed together like this, but for the efforts to be fulfilled, this kind of organization has to work and work hard. Now, among these stories that I started thinking about, there were a lot of details and some heavy lifting, and I have an awful lot of credit that I give to the kinds of people that I've read who have done some of this heavy lifting. Carol Henry in particular. There are so many things that happen that you can't put exactly in context until you've begun to pick out the numbers and pick out the letters and see what came first and what came second. One of the examples that I like to use about that is I've always been an active kind of person in the community. And as time goes by, things begin to happen to us. One of the interesting things is the longer it goes, and now that we're in the third edition of Small Town and Mass Society, it seems like Small Town and Mass Society is getting closer and closer to the mark as we begin to forget about some of the erroneous personages, and the Candor Free Library, of course, has the only extant copy of the bibliography that shows who the characters were based upon. We all see what the blabbers, the analysts have to say on the TV. But it's the reporters and it's the historians who are bringing this to us all every day. Now, as we watch, carefully, we begin to see things repeat. You know, the old, if you don't pay attention to history, you're going to repeat it. This last week I was reminded, I wonder who's old enough, of the congressional campaign, 1952 it must have been, after a reapportionment, when Edmund Arthur Hall, the member of the House of Representatives representing roughly Broome County, was running against W. Sterling Cole. W. Sterling Cole was the darling of the, I hate to say it, but Rockefeller Republicans. And Eddie Hall was also a Republican, and they had been gerrymandered into a single district. And Eddie, well, he was a kind of a turd. And none of you are children of his, are you? And he knew that the only way that he could get himself reelected was to do exactly the same things that W. Sterling Cole did. Now, I hadn't thought of that story in a long, long time. But there are stories that he would run out to what they call the cloakroom between votes to wait until Sterling Cole had voted to know which way to vote. He'd follow him around and listen to what he had to say on various subjects. And if that doesn't remind you of Monday night's debate, I'm sorry. The point is, we all need to look closely at the things that are going on and analyze them and watch them grow. Whether it was 50 years ago, mine was more than that, wasn't it? Or more recent than that. There are, I'm sure, some combinations of events recurring that you can all think of. And one of the best preachers I've ever heard was always famous for making the most obscure, inane examples that led you to think of 3 or 4 or 5 things that were more obvious and probably more applicable, but at least it made you think that way. The Candor Free Library came out from local need. Now, I'm not sure whether it's folklore or history, but there was apparently this afternoon book club meeting of the ladies, and either in an attempt to keep up with the neighbors, the neighboring communities that might already have libraries, or in order to foster reading and education, the ladies thought they should have a library. It says, insert distasteful women's suffrage joke here. Well, we never should have given the vote. We went from this gift of 150 books in the collection, some gifts from the ladies in this group, which was or was not called the community club at the time. It wasn't quite clear to me how that happened. And we've gone from that to a collection of 20,000 or so, and a budget of $40,000 a year. And as we watched all of these things happen, the easiest way to think about the history of the Candor Free Library is where it was. It was in that little anteroom in the Myron Miller Funeral Home, down next to the alleyway that goes back to what used to be the Redemption Center. You know, for the longest time I thought that was a church. And it now seems to be mysteriously overgrown with brush in front, and nobody really seems to know what goes on in there. But I do take my bottles out of the other place. It's okay. Then there was this move across the street to the waiting room at the old DL&W train and freight station and train station. Now, people my age got introduced to that waiting room when the first of the polio vaccines were available. We lined up outside there and walked by and got our polio shots. That is my earliest memory of that. My next memory of that is helping carry the books in. We moved the books, volunteers, and some not necessarily so eager volunteers who participated in that move. Because there was one thing we knew, it was temporary. So the next thing that happened in the grace of the Farmers and Merchants Bank of Spencer and their acquisition of the Candor First National Bank, there came a need for this ugly building to be built over in the middle of town with those Texas brick that looked like they were hewn out of mud and then made instead of ground up first. And in order to place that building there, they of course had to get rid of the old train station. So up the street we went to the former Black's Village Hardware. The same team of volunteers, probably less willing than even the first time, moved the books to the Black's Village Hardware. And having established a nice little enclave there, and the building of the bank and the closing of the bank building and the village acquiring the bank or the bank building on the corner of Bank Street, the library moved up the road. This is a longer move now, maybe 2-3 times as far, up the road to the bank. And again, those same volunteers came and carried books and placed books on shelves and did as speedy a job as we could. Quality was not really an issue. We needed to get it done. And each of these moves came along with the improvement, the growth of the use of the library. And as they moved into the new bank library, it was a cozy little outfit until the village decided they had to have their meetings there too. So they kind of squeezed things in, and then came probably the most shocking thing that has happened to the Candor Free Library at all. We needed a new building. And we needed a way to finance it. And there was this federal program called CETA, the Cooperative Education and Training Act. And Tom Garut, bless his conservative heart, was the principal author of the grant application. And he was good at that. And everybody swallowed their Republican pride and accepted this federal money, which was considerable. And we got the addition to the bank, or really what we got was the library, and the bank's still kind of a pimple on the cheek of the library. And there are countless volunteers to thank. Frances Zilio. Anybody remember Frances? She was a long-time volunteer. And one of the interesting things about this set of 500 books that was the collection, there were 20,000 books when we moved them the last time. And the circulation of the library has now moved from its provisional charter in 1931 to its absolute charter in 1973. The circulation reached 19,426 in 73, and it's hanging right around 20,000 still. The urgent need to remember things can't be emphasized too much. And the urgent thanks to the people who continue to volunteer, although they have a grossly overpaid staff now, of course. They get a little sack of rice around their neck for lunch, and they work like coolies. But all of the diligent extra work that is done by the volunteers, is done in good cheer and for the purpose for which it was established. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the materials that I used for this program. All of them, of course, are now digitally available. I still have to move my finger along the print, so what that means. Now, there was this historic piece from the New York Times, no, wait, it was the Spencer Needle, upon the 50th anniversary of the Candor Free Library. And that was where I was reminded of Frances Zilio. And I was reminded of other people like Francis Smith. Wait, who was that? Wait, that's Fran, yes. And people like Lucy Gooding and Pat Garut, Jane Kemp, Kay Marshall, Frances Moika, some of us here know her, Rita Quinlan, one of those old people on the committee. Ruth Silsby, Ruth Bourne, Ruth Griffin, who was a product of the 18th century. I think, no, wait, that's not right. She was born, I think, in 1898. That would be the 19th century. Riley Washburn contributed mightily to our entertainment, to our education, and to the esprit de corps. And the kind of person who, if you're going to nominate, you would nominate perhaps for sainthood. And this 50th anniversary document says that a Mrs. Frederick Quinlan, that's the same Rita Quinlan that we talked about earlier about being old, she was the chairman. Roy Yarrington, where you go? Yeah, oh, there he is. Lloyd Silsby, Ruth Griffin, Carl Washburn, Mrs. Carl Washburn, and Bob Weber. Now, as I said before, the kinds of work that Don Weber does in his historical recreations of events is absolutely stunning. Because when I can talk anecdotally like the blabbers I referred to earlier, and you know who they are, and they aren't just on Fox either, by the way. When we can all talk anecdotally, we have to really, really, really work hard to talk seriously and consequentially about accurate facts and causes and effects. And I will happily share this until now carefully guarded document. Where did you find that anyway?
Yes.
And the final tribute, of course, is the one that I must make to my mother. She was the consummate volunteer, the consummate politician. She made these things work, and probably as brilliant as anybody I've ever met. Thank you all. Just the one with the words.
But then, okay, but the names of all the volunteers isn't.
Yeah. Well, I only got a little copier.
It's a widow copier.
If you ask real nice, I'll let you look at it.
I'm going to ask to really nice
yes.
about list.
Tell some of the stories about your mom and the people she's met.
Okay. Well, Mother was always helpful. And some of the people that she helped were a little unusual. One of her clients was Moondog, Louis Hardin, poet, musician, freak, who lived his last in exile in Germany because they had some sort of a tax issue with the feds. And one day came knocking at our door at 25 Spencer Avenue, which one was it, Woody? Arlo, yeah, Arlo Guthrie. He wanted to learn a little something about Candor. You may remember that the town of Candor, the mayor of Candor lied. And
oh, that was Harry Chapin.
that was Harry Chapin, thank you. And Mother said to him, the library will be open tomorrow morning at 10. Apparently, she didn't remember his name any better than I did. But she helped countless students with term papers, with research, with confounding documents. One of the scholars that she helped and came home in utter despair, thinking that this person would just never make it in her chosen career. General Becky Halstead. She just wasn't much of a student as far as Mother was concerned. But Dick isn't here. Well, she turned out okay. And I can't help but think that Mother's help with that term paper got her at least major, if not all the way up. And it wasn't just the pure and the fancy and the gifted. She helped everyone and did everything for everyone. And those are the kinds of people that we all have to stay knowing and helping and loving.
She did great things with the history, having these classes from school come up, and she would have the displays of the...
Yeah, one of our pictures is from one of those history days.
Yeah, it was just amazing, the information that she had gotten together for that. And
her ability to do that heavy lifting and to find those details and not to gloss it over with blather was a terrific influence. And I didn't have any idea how hard this job was going to be. And now we know how hard it is. I urge you all to keep doing the good work that you do and to keep these kinds of events moving and working. Yes?
I got a question. I don't know if you're in the are you in the Finger Lakes Library System?
Yes. The support for the library comes in three flavors. Mm-hmm. The village, the town, each have budget items for the village, for the library, and the school district. And the school district started out without much courage. So it became a separate budget item. You know, you got that
Every-
budget.
every year we had to apply for-
You got a resolution for the budget. You got the first resolution says we shall educate the children, and the second resolution has to do with buses. All right, we'll bring the little kiddies to school, so they vote for that. And then they didn't have the courage to think that what the village library did was a part of the school program, or ancillary to it, or connected to it, or a beneficiary. So we had to offer a $2,500 separate budget item for the school for years. It was a separate item, and that support came from there. The question about the Finger Lakes Library System, that's where the state comes in, and they support the work of this library considerably.
They have I don't know if it's a rule, but a policy that books that aren't checked out after 3 years, they don't want to keep on the shelf.
Well,
I personally, I have a real problem with that.
One of the
Your take on it.
one of the comments that Peg Stickle made in this piece of 1981. By the way, on the back of that piece, there was a call for auditions for South Pacific. Now, some of us live in a parallel universe, and so it kind of puts things in perspective for me. The library and the librarian always face something like Sophie's Choice when it comes to weeding. And there are policies, and the thing I like about policies are they're fun to write, and you can be profound, you can pontificate, and even blovate. And then you kind of do what you want to do if it's something you want to keep. But yes, if nobody's borrowed it, get rid of it. And that's a horrid pass to come to. They talk in this piece from the Spencer Needle about as late as '74 discarding one of those original gift books from that original collection. So, you know, came to do good, and maybe not did so well, but boy, did it for a long time.
When Peg Sickle was librarian, she was a paid librarian.
Yeah.
And I filled in 1 day a week for her. And Dorothy Sandage and Frances Moika, the three of us would be in the library for a couple hours, and you know, we had coffee, and I don't think we did much work, but anyway, it was a great time for us, and gave Peg a good help.
You couldn't have spent the day with better people. And,
We did do a little work, I think. But.
yeah. And the other thing, the library, ensconced in its digs, comfortable in its ambiance, has a little money in the bank. It has a very nice endowment. People die all the time just to pay their book funds. And a very generous recent gift has established a trust fund, or really a foundation for the library for a long time, and it will serve it well, and that gift is very much appreciated.
Then there's a story of when the library was being built, and there was a tree on the library top. We had to get some land from the Congregational Church, and so there was a tree that needed to be taken down, and the village said, "Oh, we can do that." Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember where that tree went too.
Yep. We broke one of the congregational windows.
You know those nice stained glass windows on the west end of the congregation?
Yeah.
Well, this too shall pass.
Now they have them all covered with thick
Plexiglass.
plexiglass.
It still won't keep it from the tree. I have some personal experience with church repairs. I nearly destroyed the Mark Love organ, which some of you enjoyed hearing on Sunday. All in the name of changing the light bulb. And I took a great fall, but the Mark Love shrugged it off, and after remitting giant sums of money to the organ builders, the Parsons in Canandaigua, in case you ever needed an organ builder. They brought her back to health and life, and in a historically proper way. They had to move all the business to some organ maker in Virginia who was using period tools and period materials. And I survived the fall, and so did the organ. But yeah, and the window story is, yep, it's the can do and candor that get you in trouble. And for no reason at all, I'm reminded of that T-shirt saying, "Who put the can in candor and the wings on little flies?" And I don't know, but we won't talk about the evolution of candor that way. Is there somewhere I should go with this, besides the cookies?
Any other questions, comments, histories, stories?
Richard, there's a story that several years ago the library was celebrating an anniversary, like the 50th, but it was later in. Fran Joyce, who was the high school principal here, wasn't able to attend, but I talked to him on the telephone. He was talking about the new building, which was engineered by Tom Garut and so on. And he said Tom Garut took these papers, these applications and so on, literally to Owego, to our congressman or whatever, and beat out another library because he delivered them to them. And he said, we want this. And that's how really, because he was persistent, we got the new library.
He was a good man.
Yes, he was.
Well, I thank you for your kind
Okay.
I intended to entertain, and I actually only did it for the $150 honorarium.
The Spencer Candor Lions Club, although in Candor it is the Candor Spencer Lions Club. It's sort of an in-house joke, but essentially all the members in Candor relate to the Candor side, so when we address ourselves at the meeting as far as announcing who we are, it depends on which area you live in, is which name comes first. A lot of this material was put together by Roger Westgate, mostly because he's been around a lot longer than I have, in a lot of different areas.
I represent that.
And anyway, I've got some, basically I put it in outline form. I'm going to read it off so I don't forget anything. I mean, there are some, I could just go on and on, but I tried to just take the more or less the important points of what we've done over the last 20-some years, and try to give a little bit of information to you guys and to the public of what we do behind the scenes or in front of you, actually, in some cases. On June 30th, 1925, Helen Keller addressed the Lions Club International Convention in Cedar Point, Ohio. And at that time, Helen challenged the Lions to become Knights of the Blind in this crusade against darkness. And as we know, she was virtually blind from early in her childhood. She said, I am your opportunity, I'm knocking at your door. And her request to the Lions inspired them to adopt the Site Conservation and Work with the Blind program as a major service initiative, and it stays that way today. We have picked up another initiative as far as hearing. We also try to do whatever is necessary worldwide to come about the eradication of hearing loss that's achievable, as well as blindness. Mostly West Nile virus is the West Nile blindness is the biggest item in Africa and whatnot. Currently there are approximately 46,000 Lions clubs in most every country throughout the world, and 1,350,000 members make us the largest service organization in the world. In 1982, one of the local residents, Richard Weber, started planning for a local Lions Club in this area. And he contacted, I'm not really sure how, but anyway, he and Jim Dormady from the Ithaca Lions Club became instrumental in helping Dick obtain his goal of establishing a club here in town. By 1983, June 1983, Dick started the club with 6 to 7 members. And at this time, they were already selling Lions brooms as fundraisers. And they're not really the same brooms. We do buy new ones now and then. And collecting eyeglasses and working at Lions Camp Badger, a speech camp up in Spencer. At this time, they started filling the board of directors positions. And our club, our Lions Club, is made up primarily of a president. Depending on how big the club, our club has 3 vice presidents, 2 directors, a secretary, treasurer, we have a chaplain, we have a lion tamer, which is the person that's in charge of all of the stuff, the flags, the banners, all the things that belong to the club. He's in charge of doing all that stuff. And we have a tail twister, who is the person that is in charge of collecting fines from the various members when they do something they're not supposed to do, which is making fun of the president or whatever is deemed an admissible offense by the club. So it's unfortunately, if the club gets behind the individual making the allegation, you can get fined whether you're guilty or not. So anyway, this the lion tamer or tail twister also was in charge of trying to put together, depending on the individual, obviously, put together little games and that kind of stuff that we can do at our meetings to try to lighten the atmosphere of what's going on. We've done everything from bingo to whatever. We've done
Sing songs.
Yeah, singing songs. We've done various things. And if you don't sing really well, you can get fined for that. Or if you sing really well, you can get fined for you're showing up. So, in any event, we try to make the meetings as light as possible, even with all of the busy work that we do. We meet twice a month as a rule, except for the wintertime. We meet once in Candor and once in Spencer on the first and third Wednesday of the month. In any event, at this time, Bill Murray was also a member, or a resident, or until just recently. He was our first tall tail twister. And in 1983, in June, the club had its first official installation of officers and dinner meeting. So we went from 1982 with a thought, in June of '83 with getting 6 members, to the end of June with the club set up to do their first installation of officers. So they were starting to get things put together at that point in time. In October of '83, there was a first mention at a meeting of doing something locally for the children on Halloween night. And one of the things that we do, which I'll allude to here, is that we do give out cider and donuts to the kids and families or whatever as they come by, both in Spencer and Candor, free of charge every year. In Candor, we do it at the Grange, and in Spencer, it's done in front of Nichols Pond. And I suppose everybody should remember anyway the Candor Festival when that was going on. Back in '83, Spencer Candor Lions Club worked at the festival booth selling brooms, and we were starting to be included in local events that were coming about, and they were starting to recognize the club was there and asking us to participate. The meeting minutes continually mention closing at that point with patriotic songs such as God Bless America or America the Beautiful. And Lions Clubs have always been patriotic to the individual countries that they're domiciled in. One of the big things that inspired me actually to join the club, as well as the projects and whatnot that they do. In November of '83, and we're still in that first year. It was decided to do a recruiting drive by inviting prospective members and their wives to a dinner meeting, and Roger Westgate attended one of these meetings and became a longtime member, and the result of this effort was inducting enough members to be given a charter by Lions International. At that time, I believe you had to have 20 members in order to have a charter. You could have a club, but you weren't official until you had at least 20 members. The charter night meeting was set up in May of 1984, so basically 1 year. The Weagle Lions Club was actually our sponsoring club. However, James Dormady, which I have a picture of James Dormady that Roger wanted me to show. That's what he looked like back in 1983. He looks a little different than that. He works up at, or did work, he's retired now, at Tompkins County Trust up until last year. In any event, Lion Jim was the guiding lion to help us on our way down the path of helping people and with the eyeglasses and the various projects. And he remains a lifetime honorary member of the club. The first meeting was held at the Weagle Elks Club, and Ann Weber wrote a song for the occasion entitled "You Did It." And by now we had 24 charter members, and the treasurer gave his report with $315 in dues and $133.78 in the administration account. Now let me just take a minute to explain how the Lions Treasury works. We have two accounts. One is a community activities account, and the other is the administration account. All monies that are derived from the community and fundraising and whatever stays in that community activity account and gets dispersed in our various projects in the community. None of that money goes into the administration account. Anything that is paid for out of the administration account comes to the members in some fashion or other. So it's expenses for trips or hats or whatever that comes out of the administration account is all funded by the members. None of the money comes out of the community. It's one of the important points, I think, of our club or any Lions club for the most part is that those two accounts are kept separate. Generally speaking, most Lions clubs do not have buildings to maintain. Not that that's, a bad thing for clubs, but we try to keep the monies available to use in the community. In 1984, in May, Seymour Maltese suggested doing a fishing derby for the children in the area at Nichols Pond in Spencer. And this was to be at no charge for the children, and prizes and snacks would be given away freely. We still do this fishing derby for the Spencer, Candor, Wilseyville, and Benetton area children. We did have a few years where the pond wasn't fishable. It was just too choked up with various types of undergrowth, aqua growth. However, it was a great deal of work by the Spencer community and the pond project. Once again, we were able to do that last year. We had a great time. I think we had 78 children. And we usually do it, start about 7 o'clock in the morning, go to about 11 o'clock, and it's a fun time. The requirement is that the kids have to have at least one adult parent, somebody that's responsible for the kids. It's not a babysitting service. And the idea is to try to get the children and the parents involved in working together to enjoy a day of fishing. And we do casting contests, and we give prizes out for all kinds of various things. So it's a really great time. If the weather's nice, it's even greater. Over the years, we've offered a number of service projects and programs. We've done Mother's Day dinners and a number of breakfasts and other types of dinners for service and fundraising projects. And these were usually held in the Spencer Community Room in the Spencer Village building. We've bought Easter candy in bulk, packed it with Raymond Hadley Corporation. They allowed us to use part of their facility for a number of years and distributed it to the local diners and businesses and Tioga State Bank. And we did this up until a couple of years ago, until the cost factor just got totally out of control, and it just not only became hard to find product, but it became hard to get it in and basically making any money out of it at all. So unfortunately, we had to give that up, and we have a lot of people who are still upset about that. But anyway, we've done a few yard sales in the last few years. We have candy and gumball machines out. That the profit from these machines generally is directed to the local food pantries. That's what the purpose was for putting those out. So the profit generated off those goes there. Lion's Mints, which you see occasionally in the restaurants. These are sold at Diners and Tioga State Bank mostly, or some of the businesses. The proceeds of this goes to Lion's Sight First Project, which is an international project that, once again, is looking at eradicating blindness. And it's just, we also sell lotto calendars. In 2010, we helped raise $6,500 for the expenses of a cancer patient here in Candor. Our biggest fundraiser is our food trailer at Spencer Picnic. We have a large food trailer that we bring down there every year, and that's all we use it for. And as I mentioned before, all amenities generated from the community on all these projects go back to the community, and that's what we supply these projects from, is what we raise. And we contribute to the local food pantries each year, in addition to the gumball machines if they don't produce enough. We've helped flood victims in a 2011 flood with gift cards that we purchased from Price Chopper, and we distributed gift cards from Ringmore and Flanagan, who actually gave these cards out free and allowed some of the service organizations to distribute them. And if I remember it, they were for $100 each to be used in any fashion at all at the store for furniture or whatever they sold, which was a very good deal in many cases. Our club has helped do brush cleaning at the cemetery on Lower Fairfield Road. But when we first started doing that, that cemetery was choked. You couldn't even tell there was a gravestone in there. And we haven't done it in the last couple of years, mostly because somebody else has taken over doing it for the most part. But one of our members, Lionette Roberts, suggested that we want to do that. So I think we've done that for 8 or 9 years anyway.
You just say one thing about that flood, the thing with Ringmore and Flanagan. What made it easy to distribute those things was the job that the town, Candor Town, did by locating all the people that were flood victims. And the other townships around them didn't do it quite that good, so it made it very easy for us to get all those coupons out to people.
In a fast,
you know, so they could use it. And but they had it down nice. They had everybody's name, who had the most problems, who had the most water, who had lost all their furniture, that kind of thing. So it's kind of easy for us then to go and distribute that.
and Lion Roger, I'll call him Lion Roger because otherwise you'll probably find me at the next meeting. He was instrumental in distributing those out here in the Candor area. So he has firsthand knowledge of how good a job that Candor actually did. Unfortunately, Spencer wasn't that easy, but they managed to get it done. Although the destruction in Spencer was a lot less than it was down here in Candor and Catatuck. So, where am I at here? Lions Camp, our Spencer Candor Lions Club also provides support both financially and manpower to Lions Camp Badger and Official Settlement Road in Spencer. Our club sponsors one of the cabins at the camp for maintenance. We do the necessary repairs. It's a cabin that's it's a fairly new cabin, I should say. I don't know, it's probably 30 years old or something.
That's new.
And it's been used for mostly for housing. Right now, it's got 7 beds in it, I guess. And it was for a while. It was being used for a conservation museum kind of
training.
And stuffed animals and all kinds of stuff in there at one point. But we put a lot of work in it the last few years and brought it up to a better quality, and it's being used for housing again. Lions Camp Badger, just as a quick thing, offers a number of programs over the years to help both children and young adults to deal with visually and hearing impaired issues as well as other special need items. The camp provides a home for one of the diabetic camps in New York State, Project New Hope for veterans and many other organizations. as well as many other things, but primarily the things we focus on, obviously, are things to help the children and young adults and whatever up there. It's a fantastic facility. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but it's open. You can go up there and look anytime.
Is that strictly a Lions-sponsored camp?
It's owned by a Lions Club.
It's owned by all the Lions clubs?
Well, it's owned by
Local, I mean.
District.
Well, it's actually a separate corporation, but it's owned by the district. Yeah, 20E2, which is our district. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was actually donated by, I think, at the college at one point in time owned it, and they essentially with. I'm trying to remember. It was a WPA camp originally, way back when. And actually, somebody you might want to have come down and speak would be David Noteboom, who's the facilities manager up there. He's got a lot of history on what went on up there from when it first began.
That camp has improved a lot since I joined the Lions. I mean, it was really starting to run down there for a while.
Yeah, David's done a great job.
Dave went in there and he used to work for Danby Town Department. And so he's familiar with equipment and that kind of thing, but he's put that camp right back where it should be. It's really nice.
Some of the other things that our Lions Club has done, we provide tuition assistance for student campers attending Lions Camp Badger. Some of it for special needs programs in the summer. There's an application process and a needs list and all other stuff, and it's quite expensive to send somebody there. Up until recently, we had a state-sponsored or state authorized or certified. There we go, state-certified program. But New York State, in my estimation, just seemed to want to get rid of all these types of facilities and provide, and it just kept on putting more and more restrictions on it until eventually you just couldn't do it anymore. So we've gone from I think it was a 4-week program to a 2-week program, and we have kids that stay overnight and everything, but what we offer is pretty much the same things, except it's not a state-certified program anymore. It used to be the schools would be able to send the kids up there and serve and satisfy some of the special needs requirements, but now they want the schools to do the programs at the school. So.
And OSHA, when the state got involved, then OSHA got involved.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
All the trails had to be redone so that for handicap, and it's not bad, it's good, but put so many regulations on it up there.
Had put ramps in and
Ramps, they got
all
very
sorts of stuff.
expensive.
Yeah, handicap accessible, wheelchair accessible buildings, which are in the woods, but. So anyway, I guess there's probably 4 or 5 buildings that are wheelchair accessible as far as the housing, and then there's a couple of administration buildings and whatnot. So I mean, it's been a plus. It's fixed it up. It's required a lot of expense, a lot of work to do it. So, we also do eye screening for elementary and preschool children. And the purpose of this is try to detect eyesight problems early in a child's development, usually under age, it's like 5 or 6 in there some places, about the target age. Anything younger than that's really what we want. And this, in fact, this new camera is really great. It's digital, it's computerized, whatever. But what it does is it takes an image of the eyes and puts it in a computer database, and now it automatically will show whether or not the child has some type of sight issue, and it'll flag it, and we just send this to, we have a couple of Lions members who are ophthalmologists, and they send this information to them, and they take a look at it, make the recommendations, then they send those forms back to the school. It's usually the school nurse who contact the parents and then advise them of this. And the idea behind that is there's many of these eyesight problems if they're found early enough as a child's eyes are developing and their skulls and everything else, that if they can get the proper types of glasses and whatnot when this is happening, many times they can go without glasses by the time they're 10, 11 years old. And so.
How do you screen them? Are you going to school or what?
Yeah, we just were down in Candor this last week. We go down and we usually do the preschool, kindergarten, and sometimes, well, I'm not sure, nursery school we haven't been to yet. But we send forms out to the teachers through the principal, and then those are sent home to the parents, and of course the parents have to authorize it and whatnot. And then those come back to us, and then we do the testing on the kids. It only takes, once a child's in the chair and everything is all set up, it takes 2 minutes, done.
It's kind of fun to do it.
Yeah, get a chance to talk to kids.
Kick out of it.
Yeah,
Who actually does that? Who actually does the,
oh, we do.
We do.
you do? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We have a couple of cameras in our district. They cost about $3,500 a piece. And we've had it for the month. And we've got to do Spencer, we do North Spencer Christian Academy. We've done a couple of the nursery schools in the area, but there again, it comes down to how many parents send back the forms or whether we can get over there and, you know, and do it. It's, but in any event, we've done it for maybe 10 years.
Yeah, about 10 years.
10, 11 years, yeah. We've had some interesting results from that. We've had parents, excuse me, parents that have essentially found out they had issues, their children had issues with their eyes and didn't know it. But we're real thankful that we have done this. So, yeah. It's a fantastic program.
Yes, I think they do. Question was, did the Owego Lions do it too?
Yes.
They do it, I think.
Yeah. There's, in 20E2R district, there's a number of Lions clubs from Trumansburg to Appalachian to Waverly. Horseheads too, I think, isn't it?
Mhm.
There are.
Ovid's
And
Ovid's another one.
Ovid's nil, yeah. So anyway, there's a number of clubs that are in our district on this end of the district. And that camera, there's 3 cameras, and that camera just kind of floats around to the different clubs. The other thing we do is we provide some financial assistance to economically disadvantaged families in the area. And we work mostly in the school districts as far as territory. So the Candor and the Spencer Van Nant school districts. We fund a portion of the cost of eye exams and glasses for needy people, primarily children, but it can be adults. And this is done by application. People have to apply. They have to meet a needs test, obviously. We provide up to $75 at this point to be used towards the eye exam or the glasses or both, whatever. A lot of the doctors and a lot of the places that supply the eye glasses actually offer, in many cases, discounted rates, so that if they've got a voucher, which is what we give them, they come in with a voucher and you see it comes from the Lions Club, they'll many times give them a discounted rate, so that $75 goes a lot further than if they were buying it right off the street. So anyway, the voucher's given to the parents, and they bring that to the optometrist or whoever, and then they send the bill along with that voucher back to the club, and then we just pay the doctor. And it's done by, we have a site chairman, he and his one other person, I should say, not really assistant, but they take care of the program. There are no names given to the club. The club doesn't know who it is. It's all done by numbers. So the only people that really know who these people are that are getting these eyeglasses are the assistants that are the 2 individuals that are doing the vouchers and the applications and all that other stuff.
The code number put on the voucher.
Since we've been in existence, we've done probably somewhere in the neighborhood over 1,500 people. And it's hard to say. It's kind of trailed off a little bit in the last couple of years because there are other organizations doing the same kind of thing. But yeah, I know it's over 1,500, and we have a lot of help with the program with the school nurses. They're the primary people that keep in contact with us, and of course they're the ones that see the kids first, see that there's a problem, know the children, know the families, and whatever. We also provide a $250 award to a graduating senior in Spencer, Van Nant, and Candor. If that individual is going to a secondary school, majoring in any type of special needs area, although we focus on hearing and eyesight many of the impairments for special needs situations include that type of situation anyway. So they just have to complete the first semester, provide us proof that they completed the first semester, and then we send them a check for the $250. We don't have someone every year from both schools, but normally there's at least one child from one or the other, sometimes both schools. They get that award. And as I mentioned before, we give out cider and donuts at the Candor Grange in our food trailer at Nichols Pond. And primarily it provides a safe place for the children to go. It was a year before last, I think it was, we had a young lady that came up. We're on the guys in Spencer have this nice neat trailer that's nice and warm and everything, you know.
Yeah.
We're up on the Grange porch,
And
and the wind that's coming across that thing, the snow and the rain and, yeah, well, anyway. In any event, we had this young lady who came up a couple of years ago, and she said, boy, I'm glad you guys are here. She said, I grew up in Candor, and I said, I live in Ohio now, and she was probably in her middle 20s, I guess. And she said, I used to come here and get cider, cider and donuts when I was in elementary school. And boy, did we feel old after that. Yeah, but anyway, it was kind of nice, you know. And the kids are all great for the most part, and you know they can go there and get something to drink, something to eat, use the bathroom, whatever. So we have a good time anyway. And I mentioned before that we do the fishing derby in June at Nichols Pond. We also work with other organizations to provide assistance in areas that we may not have in our guidelines. We may help some other club out or some other type of organization out if they need the manpower. We'll all try to work together. One of these actually is the Finger Lakes Hearing Foundation. This is a nonprofit organization that provides hearing aids for lower income people or needy, and we front the legwork, if you will, for them, for people who need hearing aids. We provide the applications, we do the processing of, you know, making sure that at least the initial information is correct going to them to determine whether the people are acceptable in their guidelines. And then from that point on, we do provide a portion of the cost for the hearing aids, but from that point on, the Hearing Foundation takes care of the rest of it. They just do the whole thing, which is really great, and it's a great program. And as you can see, we're busy, and I probably forgot a few things. And we work mostly in the background, and we work mostly for the people, not for the recognition. And it's probably to our detriment to a degree, because like a few people said, they don't know what we do. But we provide a lot of assistance to people in various areas. And we don't blow our own horns, as it were, too much.
How many members do you have?
Currently, I think it's 24. We've had 30 is the most we've had.
And where do you meet?
We meet at the Christ the King Church in Spencer on the first Wednesday, and then we meet at the Grange on the third Wednesday. But we don't have a second meeting, the third Wednesday meeting, from November to April, mostly because there's so much stuff. Well, it used to be because there was nothing going on at the Grange, and they had to fire the furnace up and everything just for us. But now there's so much activities going on down there, there's not room for us in the wintertime.
Zumba.
Two more questions. Do you know where the name came from, Lions? Why is it Lions Club instead of Tigers Club or Zebras
That
Club?
I don't have any clue.
Don't know.
Don't know.
Are there also any rules relative to infringing on other chapters' territories? Because I was thinking about like the food trailer. Could you go to the Strawberry Festival with your food trailer?
If we ask permission from the Weagle Lions Club.
Oh, okay.
Because in essence, I mean, if you think about how we work, we would be taking money out of their community.
Right. So there are some regulations relative to...
Sometimes they may ask us, they may be
If
short
they
on
need help
numbers.
down there, yeah.
Would you come down and help us? But the money would still go to their club.
Right.
Go to their club.
Okay.
In fact, the Relay for Life dinner thing is done by the Weagle Lions Club.
Right.
And we helped them out this year
Okay.
down there. I mean, that wasn't really a fundraiser per se, but yeah, if you're gonna be taking money out of the community in that area, you're supposed to get permission from that club, and rightly so.
Even though they might not be doing anything themselves?
Oh, yeah, yeah, because I mean, actually, you're taking money from that community, and it may not go back to the community, it may come back here, say.
We had a situation, when the one gal had the cancer.
Yes,
I did a bird, donated it, and then a lot of the other clubs in the district bought raffle tickets off of that, but we had to go to the district first, through Jim Dorton,
yeah,
and got permission for them to buy raffle tickets to go towards that. And we raised, what, 6,000
$6,500,
on that bird?
$6,500.
Yeah. She was at Sloan Kettering at the time, she passed away eventually, but.
She was actually, lived close to Candor,
Yeah.
worked in Owego, or worked in Ithaca, and she actually worked in the bank where Jim Dormady works. It was an unfortunate situation. She spent.
I did pay a lot of bills and so on.
They had enormous bills because she was in Boston, right?
No, she's on New York, Sloan.
New York, oh, Sloan Kettering, New York City, that's right. Yeah, it was, she fought hard, but it's a tough thing to beat. You know?
How does it work, Dave, with the glasses that you collect glasses?
Well, I didn't even mention that, did I?
Lenses? How, I mean, what do you do with them? How are they processed?
Okay, well, there's a couple things that happen with the glasses.
Met with them the other day.
We collect them primarily at the banks. We give them to another one of the Lions clubs, Candor actually, who actually does the processing part for our area. And some of the glasses, they take apart and they take the lenses, just the lenses only. And if they're in good shape, if you will, they have the information to tell what strength and all that is.
Right.
So they package these things up and they send them, sometimes they go down to South America, sometimes they go wherever. Some of the frames, if they're not in, great shape, the metal frames, they melt those down because there's some precious metals in there. We actually get back from those glasses, not a lot of money, we probably make like $50 a year or something from from the frames that get melted down. And they actually take the glasses cases now, they didn't do it years ago, but they take the glasses cases now and those go down to South America. We had one of our members was down in South America, well, it was in Mexico. He was down in Mexico, he was an ophthalmologist, and his group worked with the Lions Club down there, and they did or every year they go down twice a year, and they do screenings for essentially the people that work out in the deserts out there. Because of the wind and the dryness and whatnot, it does terrible things to their eyes, dries them all out, it just destroys their eyesight. So anyway, they go down and they have this, it's a YMCA actually, and they set up shop in there for 2 weeks, and they have 2,000–3,000 people that come in from wherever, and come in and they dispense the glasses, all the stuff that we've collected and everybody else, and they dispense the glasses right there after they've done eye exams and eye drops and whatever. Of course, sunglasses are something that, especially prescription sunglasses, are something that they're really sought after because of the sunlight and being out in the flats.
Those ophthalmologists sit there, they have a group too that screens out the strength of each glass. I mean, they'll have this certain strength glasses over this pile, this strength, and then when they check somebody, oh, we've got some of those kind of glasses over here that'll fit you, so.
Yeah.
So they work it.
Yeah, he brought back pictures and a short clip of all that down there. It was really something. First time we'd ever seen that, actually. I heard about it, but never really seen anything about that. Yeah. And unfortunately, he moved away to Boston area. But
Do you do anything with hearing aids?
the hearing aids we send up to Finger Lakes Hearing Foundation.
So
And,
you do collect,
We do collect
you
them.
do collect.
And they try to recycle what they can of them. We don't get that many as a rule as far as being donated, but the ones we do, we send up there.
Mm.
What they can do with them, I don't know, but they do accept them and they do
Yeah,
things.
well,
things
a hearing
move
aid's a hearing aid.
The hearing, you know, I suppose there's, I mean, if they're not very big, but I suppose there's parts in there that they can use
Are there
Yeah,
other
no.
places other than South Africa?
Yeah,
all over the
all over the
world.
world, India. They do the same thing in all those different countries.
Yeah, everywhere, even in the States, actually. It just happened that that member of ours belonged to the Ophthalmologists Association that went down to
Mexico.
Mexico. But, yeah, they do even that in the States, out in the Western Plains and whatnot.
There's Lions clubs in Ithaca, or I mean, in India, Burma, China,
Yeah, most every country,
Russia.
even in Russia, yeah. Oh,
What-
and a lot of the clubs do different things too. I mean, it depends on what the area needs, if you will, and how big the clubs are and what they can do. I mean, they build ramps for people, they do all sorts of stuff. They do, you know, home projects where they'll remodel a house or whatever the case may be, you know, for people with special needs or whatever.
You'll notice in the penny saver you'll see a lot of projects that the Appalachian Lions do. The Appalachian Lions are a very large club. Right now they got like 54 members. They were up to almost 70 some members. But they help Toys for Tots. Every Lions club does glasses and hearing, but a lot of other clubs that are larger do more things. And they do Toys for Tots, they, on top of the glasses. We're a fairly small club, so we're only limited to so much. But some of
Mostly
those
because of
clubs,
the manpower.
we need to put more in penny saver. We just talked about that in one of our meetings not too long ago. We need to average or tell people what we actually do, and we don't do enough of that.
You need some young blood.
Huh?
That
Need some
too.
young blood.
Well, we do need some young blood, that's right. But we
Yeah, we do
started
take
out,
women.
our club was totally all men.
Young blood, swords of war.
Now they're old blood now. Actually, it's a Geritol, no. But we have had quite a few ladies join the club now.
Yeah, you got a few women in there, and they're very hard workers.
Actually, some of them are a lot harder workers than some of the men we have.
Is that always the case?
Yeah. And we had one member, as soon as we got a woman in the club, yeah, I don't want to stay in this club no more. But
Yeah.
Camp Badger, I'm kinda interested in Camp Badger because I have been there and I saw some of the facilities, but anyway, are there several clubs that work there or that?
Oh, yeah, there's, most, I won't say every building, but most every building has been adopted by one or two clubs to maintain. There's, a couple of the administration buildings are pretty big, so there's a couple of clubs that take care of those. And if not, then they usually come up and work for a weekend or a week or whatever. In fact, some of the companies, like IBM, NICEAG, and a few of them, I can't think of all of them, but anyway, as part of their, Lockheed Martin, as part of their community service projects, a lot of them supply labor, and sometimes even money and materials to work up there. They clean the trails, or they put a new bridge in, or whatever Dave Noteboom, who was the facilities manager, can find for them to do. He sets all that stuff up, and they just come in and do it. Put a new roof on one of the buildings one time, so.
let's go up there and sleep right there for the weekend, do a project.
Yeah, I mean, we have, there's a big dining hall up there that was part of the WPA camp. It's a beautiful place. In fact, David's actually rented that whole facility out for a number of weddings in the last couple of years. The whole weddings in there. It's got a massive room, double fireplace back to back.
Anybody can rent that.
Anybody can rent it, yeah.
Mm. Is that where the Ithaca Speech Clinic used to be?
Yes, right. It used to be called the Empire State Speech and Hearing Clinic, and then the state said we couldn't call it that anymore, and now it's the New York State Special Needs something or other. I don't know.
Okay.
At one time,
Empire State Special Needs Experience Incorporated.
at one time, I think it was called the Danby Church Camp, wasn't it?
Could be.
It might have been.
Long time ago.
We were Girl Scouts, we went there one summer for a week and stayed.
I know the Boy Scouts go up there, then they spend a week up there. It's, you know, it's part of a Boy Scout experience thing. It's something we do. We just rent the camp out and they do their thing.
Girl Scouts used to go there.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
had Girl Scouts on, I was neighborhood chairman for Spencer, Canterbury, and we would hold day-long events there.
It's
It was a great place.
It's a fantastic facility.
Doing quite a bit now too with this Project Hope. It's, a lot of these veterans coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, even some of the Vietnam War veterans too with their wives, go up there and spend time now. And they have programs going on for them.
Yeah. And there's what they refer to as a clubhouse, which is where used to be the administration building, but anyway, it's kind of like a little mini motel. And there's, I think, 6 or 7 rooms in there. And it's got a living room and living room with a kitchen and all that stuff. I mean, as a Lions member, you know, if you're out of the area and you're, working on one of those camps, or if you happen to be in the area and you want to stay over, all you have to do is make arrangements, and you can stay right there if you want. Give them a donation or whatever.
So is it open year round?
No, it closes up when it starts getting really cold because of the weather. They have to shut the water off to all the buildings and all the bathrooms, and the only buildings that are actually open is the administration building and the office.
So is there like a director that puts together summer programs
Yes, that's part of the board of directors.
for that?
Camp Badger, yeah.
Okay, for Camp Badger.
These are people throughout the district, maybe Rochester, all the way down to New York City.
Yeah, I don't know how many directors there are. There's probably 8, I guess. I don't know. Maybe
This Jim Dormady that we talked about here, he's been real active in that line. That's his life, really, him and his wife. And
He was
they're up there.
treasurer for years.
Yeah.
Tom Bailey was a superintendent of schools at Spencer, is on that board now. But it's a great facility. If you know of any organizations that are looking for a place, to hold an event or whatever, and get a hold of David.
I was there for a wedding, actually.
Recently, or?
Well, no, it's when Carrie,
O'Connor.
Yeah.
Ludwig's granddaughter.
Ludwig's
Oh, yeah,
granddaughter,
okay.
when she got married.
Yeah, 6, 7 years ago, or there somewhere. Anything else?
Any other
Or
questions?
sufficiently?